Greetings, my name is Ashley, and welcome to Graceful Realities. Graceful Realities is a Christian centric podcast that delves into the multifaceted aspects of living a fulfilling and harmonious life. Join us as we explore the lives of inspiring guests, discovering how faith and a positive mindset shape their journeys, as well as how they successfully balance personal and professional commitments to achieve academic and career success. Whether you're seeking motivation, guidance, or a fresh perspective, join us for engaging conversations every last Thursday of the month. I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest, Makungu. She's currently teaching English at a high school where she passionately guides her students toward academic excellence. Makungu completed a bachelor's degree in education, majoring in English and special needs education from the University of Johannesburg. But her journey doesn't stop in the classroom. Beyond her teaching role, she is actively involved in rowing and various other activities that keep her energized and balanced. Makungu is also the creative mind behind the page Daily Revivals, which focuses on matters of the Christian faith. She believes that her artistic skills are a unique way to share the gospel, making it relatable and engaging for diverse audiences. In 2024, Makungu aims to find new ways to grow in every aspect of her life. She is also dedicated to empowering those around her, helping them discover and harness their potential.
And the way that I see people, that we need to see people in terms of what they are capable of. And that has been my drive to say that, yes, maybe the curriculum and all these things are saying that you cannot do this, but how can I work on this child's strengths to help them overcome those challenges? And that has just been a great joy for me. And I love speaking, I love sharing my knowledge. And so having to do that every single day where children challenge you, that's a given, but they don't challenge you because they think you're stupid, but they just want to see what you know. And yeah, that's just me, and that's just my journey within teaching.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Graceful Realities. Today we have the gorgeous and stunning Makungu. Makungu, welcome to this episode. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good, thanks, and you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm super excited for today's episode. Okay, so today we're going to be speaking about going beyond the bare minimum, going above and beyond. So when I think about that, I think about, going that extra mile, not settling for like just mediocrity, putting in the extra effort and like just wanting to be the best in all that you do. And not like in a, like, oh, I think I'm all that, but in a way that, like you associate yourself with like excellency. So when we talk about, going beyond the bare minimum, what does that mean to you?
Exactly like what you said, going beyond the bare minimum means striving to be better, striving to always basically ultimately do more than what is required. So we all know that there's obviously a pass rate in every institution or everywhere you want to go. There's always the level at which you need to perform, but going beyond the bare minimum means this is the bar and I'm actually going to exceed that.
Yes, that's very true. I think nowadays sometimes we just like, okay, I just will, do what I need to do to get it done. But we forget that we need to do our very best in every single thing that we do. So I want to ask, like, how does your faith or how has your faith influenced your like commitment to excellency? Be it at work, be it with your faith, be it even in your own personal perspective. How has that like, idea or like, the faith that we get to have influence that commitment to like excellency in every single thing that you do?
Yeah, like what she said, my faith has influenced my view on life exponentially, and I think it just comes back from the principles of the Christian faith is that we have been redeemed, and so with that mindset of being, I've been given a second chance at life, and with every opportunity that I have, I am aware that I stand in a place of privilege, and not everyone has the opportunity to, pursue their dreams and pursue all that I am able to pursue. And with that, it's just more of like, I would love to say a thanks offering to God to show that I'm able to do this and do it exceedingly abundantly than what is actually required. And so, yeah, and I think in my professional sense is that I have been entrusted with so many children's lives and souls that it would be unfair for me to just do the bare minimum, just get there, teach English, and move on. But there needs to be some lasting impact in that. And I think that's where my mindset for going beyond the bare minimum comes from. And I think just having faith and the passion to do that obviously propels me to go over and beyond.
No, yes, that is so true. Hey, I like how you say you've been entrusted with all these children. And they say children or like anybody, if you want them to do something, you need to lead by example, right? So you need to be going beyond. So you can't be like, oh, okay, fine, here's the lesson plan. This is what we're going to be doing. You also have to be practicing what you preach. And I love what you say when you say, like you do that. And when children see you doing exactly that, they'll also be motivated. Hey, our teacher always goes above and beyond. When I'm entrusted to like, write an exam or a test, I'll also go above and beyond. When I have to participate in activities, I'll go above and beyond. So that actually brings me to a question that I would like to pose to you. That is like, how do you motivate your students to push beyond mediocrity in terms of like their academics and even their personal perspective? Like, what are some things that you tell them, or like, activities that you do to help them put into action, that idea of like, I have to be the best. I have to not just give my like 20%, but my 100% all the time.
Mm. I think what I've realized, because it's my first year of teaching as well, the first thing is goal setting. Because if you do not have goals, it's easy for you to slip into just saying, oh no, 40% is okay, or just getting through the day is fine. But I think what's most important and what has been helpful for me is setting a goal and have people who hold you accountable that will remind you of what it is that you wanting to achieve. But what I do tell my students is, number one, obviously set your goals, but be mindful of where you come from, because I've noticed that not everybody comes from the same background. And once you are so aware of your reality and your past and your family, then you have that decision to make, that am I going to be better, or am I just going to, sink into whatever society has for me? And that has what I think motivational speeches as well, but most importantly, just making them realize that they were made for more. And that's the problem. People think that no, because I do not have this to start up my business, then I have no purpose. But realizing that here in the now, with what you have, there is purpose. And, you'll find materials and resources along the way. So it's just reminding them that they have a purpose and that they were created for something. They just need to be reminded of that.
Yes, that's very true. And that constant reminder of you, telling them, you were created to a greater and you're more than capable. God gives us that increased ability in all that we do. And we just need to be very conscious of that reality. So, what are some of your daily practices or daily habits that help you on your own personal perspective to be reminded, like, hey, when I go into this classroom, as I'm encouraging them, I'm also encouraged. You mentioned something about, like, the different resources and materials. Is that, I'm assuming that's going to be part of, some of the things that you, on your own personal perspective, utilize to make sure that you yourself are, constantly in that mindset. So what other daily habits or practices do you put into action to make sure that, on your own personal perspective, you always in that I'm going above and beyond all the time?
Yeah, I think it starts off with reflection. So I love this quote I heard in varsity. They said that you don't learn from your mistakes, you just learn from reflecting on your mistakes. So for me, I love meditation. So meditating on the word of God and journaling. I believe I'm the queen of journaling because it just makes you so self aware of who you are, how your day was, and what are your plans for the day. And so as you reflect, you really need to be honest with yourself. And I believe that's one thing I'm slowly but surely coming to, being honest with who I am, where I'm at in the present moment, and where I want to be. And I know this might sound cliche, but always remember your why you started, why are you even, wanting to do this apart from the outside influences, but why do you want to do it? And constantly going back to your why, because there are some days where you're just like, I just need to go through the day. But then, upon constant reflection and accountability, because I'm so blessed to work in a space where there's constant feedback, constant checking in, and just wanting to hold you to a higher standard. And so that's been really helpful for me in terms of reflecting and meditating, just going back to like the secret place with God and just being reminded of who I am.
That is so wonderful. I love what you said about, sometimes we go through challenges and we feel like, okay, no, this is the end of the world. Like nothing will get better. Things are just going, downhill. But when you really think about it, sometimes you have to go through difficult situations for you to become better, for you to like learn those lessons that will help you be the greater version that God wants you to be. We mustn't look at the challenges, like you said, as failure. No, we must look at it as a lesson. Like, what can I learn from this? How can I improve myself from these challenges that I've experienced? So, what are some of the challenges that you would say, like some challenging situations that you were in where you had to like, push yourself to obviously like overcome that situation, but also to still provide, like, give your best, go above and beyond, even though you were in that difficult situation.
Mm. So I think most recently with my family, I think it's just been so, I don't know how to say it, but it's just been so challenging. I think especially when it's finance related, and it's not just my family life, but it's also life at work, life as a part-time student because I'm doing my honors as well. And I remember it was 2 weeks ago where I just felt like, let me just get through the day. Let me just do the bare minimum. Literally, I know it's so funny. Let me just get through the day. Let me just do the bare minimum. But I think also just having that constant awareness of who you are in God, it has helped me realize that all of this is happening for a reason, and I just need to learn how to see that moment, to see the goodness of God. But also, like in those moments, I've been entrusted with the little that I do have. What am I doing with it to make sure that even if I'm blessed with more, I'm able to manage that? And so it's in the moment, it's so difficult. Like, don't get me wrong, it is so difficult. But I think also having friends that constantly check in on you and ask you how are you doing and encourage you and motivate you, has been really helpful. But I think also from a personal perspective is just self-awareness. Acknowledge your challenges, acknowledge that they're there, but also acknowledge that they will not defeat you. So yeah, but the biggest thing is self-awareness.
No, yes, that is so true. Like for me, I remember at work the other time, we had such hectic deadlines. And I was thinking to myself, like I'm just gonna get it done. And then the Holy Spirit reminded me, like, no, you're not just gonna get it done, you're still going to give, that 100% that you
Hmm.
give all the time. Because sometimes when things are overwhelming and it's too much, you're just like, oh, like let me just rush and, get it
Yeah.
done. But that's not
Mm.
what we should be doing. That should motivate us to even give like our very best, because you never know that the outcome of that, that perseverance, that pushing through, that, going forth. And I love what you said when, like you must have that community of people that even if things are not going as well as you want it to be, when things feel overwhelming, you still have people who can motivate you, who can encourage you. Sometimes, I'm reminded of what happened with us, when we were like, okay, no, we were ready, but we were experiencing some, audio challenges. And you literally said, we have to make sure that, we give our very best. Let's not give our bare minimum. Like we must, give our very best. So it's always just being conscious of that mindset as well. Like, even in challenging times, even when things are not going well, and motivating each other. Sometimes you just need a friend to be like, hey, Makungu, I know things are not looking good. I know like you're going through these challenges, but be reminded, like things are going to get better. You're going to like come out of the situation brighter, better, and greater. So I really love that. And, something that you also mentioned just now with regards to journaling. Oh, when I tell you the joy of journaling, if anybody is listening who does not journal, oh please let me, like, the way it literally, it just uplifts you, and it just helps you to like, it's a constant reminder of like, okay, you journal about something, okay, like maybe it's a goal that you've journaled about, and then when you reflect and look back, you're like, hey, like I was actually talking about that. And also staying in that constant atmosphere of gratitude, because sometimes we take things for granted, and life is quite unpredictable. And like our friends, our family, we often take them for granted, and we just like, we don't really appreciate who they are, the things they do for us, even like our jobs. Sometimes I had this conversation with a friend, and I was like, we prayed for these jobs, we prayed, like to get into this university, to be able to do these studies, but then we sometimes it gets overwhelming, and then we end up like, complaining. And we just, but when you're journaling about it, you're like, Lord, I'm so grateful for this job, I'm so grateful for this job. So if you would like to just touch a little bit about, like some of the things that journaling has done for you, in terms of like, just being like grateful all the time, and reflecting and being able to say like, okay, fine, these are my goals, this is what I'm grateful for. Like what does journaling mean to you? And I know like we also have the Smarty School journal, you can definitely check it out. But obviously everybody journals differently. Some people prefer to write, some people prefer to like write on their phone, like type. But it's the same thing, it's just about that action. So like, what does journaling actually mean to you?
Cool. Yeah, so journaling actually means a lot to me. Like what you've mentioned, journaling serves as a reminder of where we come from and where we are going. Because I know I read my journal most recently from 2021, and I was just amazed at the growth. The things I would write about, my way of thinking has definitely changed. And I think for me, journaling is so personal because I believe that those are also my prayers to God. It's just me talking to God. And, it changes the way that you also view life. So most of the time, we go into journaling wanting to write about how we feel. But at some point, you stop writing and you realize, like, whoa, there's so much complaining. How about I actually thank God for the things that I have and the things that, I'm seeing in my life. And so, yes, journaling, I highly recommend. And like what she said, some people do it differently. So I do it on my phone, I have a notebook, and I say if anybody has access to my notebooks and my journals, I'm dead. So yeah, I think it's really a practice that really helps you grow in self-awareness and helps you release all these emotions, in writing, or if you record voice notes as you journal, however you wish. And I'm going to say it again, I recommend it for everyone.
Yes, definitely. That's just, they say you need water. I think journaling should be like one of the, you need to eat, you need to drink water, and you also need to be journaling, because it just does something to you. It does something to you. And I love what you said when you said, like it shows you where you've come from, where you're going as well. So would you like to share a little bit about your journey as an educator, also like, specializing specifically like in English, and also in like special needs for the children? Like how has that journey been? What inspired you to like, take that step of faith and like go into that specific field?
Hmm. So initially, I wanted to be an accountant, and then things changed. Yeah, things changed. High school happened. Maths happened, and so yeah, and then I ended up falling into my second option, which was obviously teaching. And initially, I was like, no, I'm just gonna go for orientation, and I'm going to change. And during orientation, the lecturers, professors just spoke about how enriching this profession is, and I have loved English since primary school. So I decided, let me specialize in English and special needs. And the reason why I actually went into special needs was I was fascinated by the brain. So the module was called Addressing Neurodevelopmental Learning Needs. And so I'm like, oh, we're going to be learning about the brain. And then, obviously, the first week of lectures, I realized that we're actually addressing any learning barriers or disabilities. And when we went for practicals, I cannot begin to tell you how my heart broke and seeing how people who were created in God's image. And yes, they may be different from us and unique, but that does not mean that they're not deserving of love. And that just changed the way that I see myself and the way that I see people, that we need to see people in terms of what they are capable of. And that has been my drive to say that, yes, maybe the curriculum and all these things are saying that you cannot do this, but how can I work on this child's strengths to help them overcome those challenges? And that has just been a great joy for me. And I love speaking, I love sharing my knowledge. And so having to do that every single day, where children challenge you, that's a given, but they don't challenge you because they think you're stupid, but they just want to see what you know. And yeah, that's just me, and that's just my journey within teaching.
No, that's so beautiful. Hey, oftentimes we feel like people who are different to us don't deserve the same, love, same attention, or like we try to outcast them. And it's so beautiful that you realize that okay, fine, no, like this is actually an issue, and you technically you put yourself out there to say like I want to make a difference, because for them it takes a person like you, saying like, I know that you are worthy, I know that you are not, there's nothing wrong with you, like God has made you perfect in his image. And it's so beautiful because I know like I'm 100% sure that even in the way that you treat them and in the way that you go about, like in your journey as an educator, you instill those habits of like, like constant, I can do this. I'm more than capable. Even if the world says, "Hey, like I'm not capable," or like there's something wrong with me, of which that there's nothing wrong with them. God has made them like that. So it's so beautiful that you decided to go into this like the education field and make that impact on the children's life. We never forget those teachers that believe in us. Yeah, you never forget them. And most people are like, "Oh no, children are difficult," and all this, but believe you me, like I can still remember all the teachers who had like that faith in me to say like I'm more than capable. Like I might not be doing the very best in their subjects or what, but they still have that faith in me, and they push me to be the best and do the best in all that I do. So I just really love that. And sometimes you as an educator might not even feel appreciated, but knowing that this is for the greater good, knowing that you're still making an impact in children's lives is just so amazing to know. And like what are some practical tips that you would actually like to give to the listeners, as we're coming to a close of this episode? What are some practical tips that you'd like to give them, to push beyond the bare minimum, give their best in all that they do, be it at work, be it in their studies, be it in their relationships, in their faith? Like, what are some tips or like some words of encouragement for them to keep on going above and beyond in every single thing that they do?
Yeah, I think the first thing is you need to know that you were made for more. And I say this because it's easier said, than believing it. You are made for more, meaning that within your relationships, within your work life, and all those things, that you are not just there to just fulfill the bare minimum, but you have been placed there for a reason, right? And so I know in the society, we, especially in relationships with friends and partners or whatever, people say that, oh no, if they're not giving the same amount of effort, then let it be. And yeah, I guess to a certain degree, but if we are called to love others, to share that goodness, why am I letting a bad person, stop me from being who I am created to be? So you need to, number one, I think it's always good to go back to the start on who am I? Why am I here? And sometimes it feels so difficult in answering those questions. And I think that's where faith comes in to fill in those gaps, to say that yes, you were created by God, you were assigned great and beautiful things on this earth. And it's just within the every single day mundane where you need to step beyond. Because some of us say, no, I'll wait up till I'm a millionaire, then I can give other people, I can be kinder, I can be this. But those practices start now with the little that you have. So my encouragement would be just strive for being 1% better each day. It doesn't have to be 20%. 1% each day, to say, okay, today I snapped at a coworker. How about I take 10 deep breaths and then I'll respond? You know yourself. And I think be aware of who you are and just say, okay, this is what I struggle with. And it's either I'm getting help or I know how to manage and regulate my emotions or these challenges that I'm facing. So self-awareness is important, but always know that you were created for better and you were created for more. And it might not necessarily saying that your more is you'll be a millionaire tomorrow, but you were created to be a better person and impact more people in your day-to-day life. So yeah, and also check in with people. You need feedback in life. And even though it will be criticism and it might break your heart, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So be open to learning from other people, older people, younger people. We don't know it all. And so in that, just say that I want to be better for myself, for other people, and for who God created me to be.
Yes, that is so true. Constructive criticism. We always think that criticism is bad, 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 bad. But then sometimes someone tells you something, and if you don't have that mindset of like, no, this is constructive criticism, we just push it away, but they're trying to help you. They're trying to help you be a better you. So that's very true. We must really learn how to take constructive criticism and ask for help, ask for insight, because we only see our world from our own like set of eyes, but we don't know what other people are seeing. So sometimes it takes someone being like, maybe you should work on this, or like, this is what I'd tell you or advise you to do. So yeah, we must definitely take constructive criticism and just be aware of ourselves as well. Like, like what you mentioned. Hey, sometimes you don't realize like, hey, actually, like I was actually being rude or mean to someone. But then when you take a step back and you're like, okay, no, let me work on this. Because, let's say if someone agitates me, then I'm like, oh, I'm not angry. So if you just take those few minutes to just, reflect and be in one with yourself, even though sometimes it's difficult. And like you said, it's not an overnight change. You're not gonna wake up tomorrow and like you're a millionaire, or like everything is all good and well. It's a journey, it's a process. So just being conscious of that, and wanting to always work on yourself, growth day by day, just constantly build the building. They don't build the building, it's the foundation and the bricks and everything. So just being like, take yourself seriously, and like you're a project, you need to work on yourself, and not like also be hard on yourself. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, okay, fine, I messed up, and then now you just backtrail and you forget that, hey, like I must take it easy on myself. Like, I'm not perfect. God has made me perfect, right? But I also need to, take those steps of like, working on myself to be the very best for myself and for those around me, and then we can just live that harmonious life that we all strive to live, and, find the balance, between everything that we get up to. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Makungu. This was really insightful. I'm definitely that 1% every day. Because sometimes I expect overnight change. I'm just like, okay, no, I want to work on this, and then I expect overnight miracles. But just taking it day by day, step by step, and being gracious to yourself as well, and knowing that it will get better with time. But thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Graceful Realities, Makungu. This was such an insightful and enlightening episode with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad I got to share the bit of wisdom that I do have and the bit of knowledge I do have.
Oh, it was so wonderful. Thank you all to all the listeners. Thank you for joining us, and you guys must have a wonderful day. Thank you all so much for joining us on this episode of Graceful Realities. Remember, going beyond the bare minimum isn't accidental. It's a result of being intentional about your efforts and consistently striving to improve. To achieve excellence, you need to be intentional in all you do. Set high standards for yourself. Cultivate habits that drive you forward, and embrace challenges as opportunities to grow. As we head into the new month, I would like to take this time to share the verse of the month, which will be Philippians 4 verse 13, and it reads, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations here on Graceful Realities. Remember to embrace life's grace always. Until next time, take care.